Hello, everyone. This is Kene once again. And today I'm here with another Python problem. It's a math problem actually that we'll be solving using Python. In solving the question, we will look at the steps. So we need to understand the process of solving the question, and then we write Python code to help us actualize our aim, which is get a solution to the problem. Right. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll see the question. So some of you might be wondering why I'm not using my camera today. It's because I just returned from work and it's quite late, and I just don't think I have enough light to do a video showing my face. Okay, but that doesn't stop us from getting the much we can from this lesson. So this is the question, guys. Write a Python program that accepts comma-separated values or numbers and outputs the max value in the list. So it's not really a Python list yet as of the time of providing the values, but eventually we'll use Python to make a list of those values. Right. So let's see, guys. We want to get the maximum value when provided with a series of numbers. So we need to pick out which one is the largest, right? So let's get it, guys. If a user gives us 5, 1, 9, and say 2, just something like that, how do we solve this problem? Guys, let's see. We'll start from the very first value, right? And we'll go through all the remaining numbers here. So if I take 5, I would ask myself, is 5 greater? Is 5 less than 5? 5 is not less than 5. It's actually equal to 5. So if that be the case, then I'm going to have 5 right where it is. No change in the position of 5. Then I have all the rest of the series. Great. Then the next thing, guys, so you see, I keep moving from one position to the next. I've tried this first position, which has the value, which has the number 5, and I've asked myself, is that 5 less than 5? No. So there is no change. That's why we still have the same the same series of number as they were provided. And I'm going to go to the next now. The next step, guys, still assuming, we started with the first number here, the one at position 0, because we start counting in computers count from 0. So at this 0 position, we have 5, right? And then we asked if 5 is less than 5. No, 5 remains where it is. Then the next thing, I'm going to move to the next position, which is this position 1. Remember, is 0, position 0, and position 1. Now I'm going to ask, is 5 less than 1? That is true. 5 is less than 1. Now this is it, guys. If the number that follows is greater, then they will swap positions. So since 5 is, oh, sorry, guys, 5 is not less than 1. 5 isn't less than 1. Again, no change will take place. Remember, a change will only take place if the number before, right, is less than what follows. in that case, the new value of the first position, the new value at the first position rather. So 5 is not less than 1. No change takes place. I'm going to give this as the outcome. No change. So it remains as is. Then, guys, remember, here, we stopped at this second position, that is position 1. And I'm going to take the first one again, which is 5, and compare it with 9 at position 2. Then I ask, is 5 less than 9? Is 5 less than 9, guys? And that's true. 5 is less than 9. And because 5 is less than 9, 5 will move to this position where 9 is, and 9 will move to this position where 5 is. So they're just going to swap places. So now the first number there will be 9, then 1, then 5, taking the position of 9, then 2. You get it? So remember, we stopped at position 2. So we move position by 1 place, we come to position 3. This is position 0, position 1, position 2, position 3. So we are now at position 3. Then I'll ask myself, is the number at the first position, which is this 9, this time around is 9, is it less than 2? It is not. And because it is not less than 2, no change will take place. So it's going to come back as is. And that's 9, 1, 5, and 2. Now, having gone through all the numbers in the series there, I'm now going to take the first, the one at position 0, because that is where the largest number must lie. And that number at position 0 is 9. So 9 is the largest of these numbers, 5, 1, 9, 2. I hope we understand it. Okay, so let's go straight to the code. So I'm going to take input from the user, which I will call in, and that will be input, enter comma separated numbers. Right, just something as simple as this. Then I will get that input, guys. I'll grab it. Then I want to make sure that there are no letters, letters of the alphabet. And to remove, in case a user has mistakenly or deliberately, maliciously, whatever, used a letter instead of a number, we need to remove the letter. So I'm going to make use of regular expression. And I will replace what I have where there is a match with a pattern. Like, we create a pattern, and whenever the computer finds a match for that pattern, it removes that that string, or substring at that point, and replaces it with say a character or characters that we provide for replacement. So enough of the talk there. I'll just take this same input by the user, and I would use regular expression using a method called sub, right? And I'm going to say, all right, look for this pattern. Anything from A to Z, small letters, and anything from A to Z, capital letters, remove. And actually not remove, replace with what follows, right? So I'm going to replace that with nothing. Just remove the letter, that's what I'm saying. Then the last argument there will be the string on which we are to, perform the search for replacement. And that's the input. I'm going to feed the input back as the argument, right? So it returns our value. Then, guys, I suppose that at this point, there is no letter in our series. But sometimes, guys, a user may input something like this, 5 with space and 2 and say 9. Now there is a space here. And what we're going to do much later is that we're going to split these numbers by commas. So at the end of the day, we should have just 3 numbers split along, comma lines. So if there's a space, then that might constitute a problem. So I need numbers to be separated by just commas without space. So I need to remove the spaces, every space after a comma. So I'm going to use a string method called replace. So I'll say imp without space, just something like that. The input without space, and I'll call the imp the input, which is stored in imp, and the replace method. So what I want to do is replace a comma with space with just a comma. That will do, right? And then, guys, sometimes it could happen that a user will give something such as 3, 4, T, and 6. Now, we removed just the letter. Okay? Remove the letter, right? Letters. So, if using sub, I remove this T, that leaves me with 2 commas with nothing in between. So that will be a problem, much later in our program. So once again, we need to remove or replace these 2 commas with a single comma. So I'm still going to use the replace method. Just chain it to that and replace 2 commas with, so remember, you separate arguments with commas, with just a single comma. All right. So we've done that. That is stored in this variable called imp without space. Now, the next thing we should do now is to get those values separately, even though they're still in a container, but we're going to handle them as though they were separate items. So that's going to involve creating a Python list. There is this kind of data holder that is called list. So it's not just one data type, and it's not just one piece of data, but you could have several pieces of data in one container. And the values are indexed. The elements of that list are indexed. That is, they are situated by position. All right, let's not go into that. So, guys, now I have the number separated by single commas. Then I'm going to create that list, which I may just call num lists, number list, for example, and just get the string that I want to work on, then call the split method. And you guys remember that I said we would split by commas. So I'll provide a comma there, and that provides us a list stored in num list. Great. Now I'm going to just get the first element of the list, the very first number, because that is what I will use to initiate my comparison. So I'll say max val, and I can get the first element of a list by using the index 0. That is the first position. Whatever is at that first position. Oh, this is not I called it num list. Sorry, guys. All right. So at this position 0, we get the very first element of that list. Then I'm going to use a loop, a for loop. And you know the syntax of the for loop. For, now I just create a variable that will be used in, iterating through the values that make up the list. So for I, in this range, the range is like going from 1 or going from 0 to the end. Yeah, going from 0. This time I want us to start from the very first position, which is position 0. So going from that position 0 to the end of that list. If I have 5 elements, I would go from 0. So that would be like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times to get to the last position where there are 5 elements, because I'm counting from 0. So in that range, I have 0 beginning at position 0 to the length of that string. And as that string is num list. It's num list. Now, the thing about the length method is that it gives you the actual size of the element, of the list. So if there are 10 members of that list, len returns 10. But the thing is, when counting in a loop, we don't count from 1, we count from 0. So if I'm going to get to the end of that loop, it means that I need to remove 1 from it. So that will account for, the start of 0 instead of 1. So I'm going to remove 1 from my the length of num list. Then again, I'm going to check. So I'll just come down and indent. Then I'm going to check, as I said, what I have there, the max val, right, as the assumed largest value. This is the assumed largest value before I start making the comparison. So max val, if that max val is less than what I have there at that particular position, so the I will stand for, when it is now referenced in the brackets, in a pair of brackets, then that indicates the position of the value at that index. So num list, if max val is less than num list at this first, say this is the first round of this cycle. So this will be taken to be 0. So num list at position 0, that's what this is saying here. Whatever value you have at that first position. So I'm going to check, is max val less than whatever is at this first position, because this is the first round, this is the first cycle here. Then if it is, do you understand? But in this case, it is not, so nothing is going to change. It will only change the two values will swap positions only when max val is not, sorry, if the max val is less than the number at that position that is determined by the value of I, which is the index, only then will those two values swap positions. So if max val is less than num list at that particular position, then, oh guys, I need to use the if here. What that is showing is wrong. Then what should happen? Then I'm going to simply make the value of max val be the num list at that position. So that will be num list at that particular position, Then that will be it. So it goes the first time. So let me just have this here, something like 2, 5, 9, 4, 7. So it goes the first time. So the max val at the beginning is taken to be 2. So I've assigned max val a value of 2. Right. Then it goes in my loop the first time. Max val is 2. Is 2 less than? Now this is positions beginning. We are counting from 0. So this is position 0 in that my num list container. And in position 0, I have 2. So, and then you know that max val as of now is 2. So is 2 less than 2? If 2 is less than 2, great. I should assign that value now, which is like 2 to 2. But if it is not, then do nothing. So what is going to happen here is that 2 is not less than 2, so nothing is going to happen. Then it goes and returns. This time, I now takes a value is now 1. First time it is 0. And when it comes back, the I here becomes 1. So that 1 is the position in the num list. So position 0 is 2, and then position 1 is 5. So this will be 5. Num list at position 1 is 5. Then remember that max val is still 2. 2 is 2 less than 5. Yes, 2 is less than 5. Then what I'm simply saying is the two positions will swap. The two values will swap positions. So it will now be something like this. Instead of 2, 5, it becomes 5, 2. So I'm setting the new value of max val to whatever is at that position. And this time, the position we are looking at is position 1, which holds a value of 5. So that's why we have max val set as what? 5. So it will do the same thing. It will just keep checking until all the numbers have been used up to 7. Right. Then I am going to simply print out. I'm going to print the value of max. I'm going to print what max val is. That is the value of max val, which will hold the largest number in that list. So print max val. It's as simple as that. Then, guys, let me run the program. Enter comma separated numbers. So I can say 4, 9, 1, 5, 3. So what's the largest of these numbers? It gives us 9. 9 is the largest, right? So let me run. This time I'll put a letter. It's just going to remove the letter. Or I would say letters. Let me use 2 letters. So 23, 45, Y, 93, 12, D, 4, and on and on. So If I check now, we'll see that 93 is the largest value here. So what it has done is that it has removed the letters Y and D. Right, so guys, I hope we learned something. Again, I will put this file on my website, so you can download this source file and use it to make your learning permanent. Okay, thank you guys. I will see you in my next video. By the way, the website is www.thetutoraid.com.ng. That's the website you should visit. The Tutor Aid, so it's like THE, then tutor, TUTOR, and aid there, AID, thetutoraid.com.ng. So have a nice day, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.